Welcome to the UPDB Limited Query Tool. In this video we will demonstrate how to find the birth weight of all single births since 1989 and compare that with children in the same group who exhibit any of the following criteria. 1. They've had a mother who's acknowledged tobacco use on their birth certificate. 2. The mother's acknowledged tobacco use on a sibling's birth certificate. Or 3. They have had a parent who's been diagnosed with tobacco use disorder from the inpatient records. To begin, select Query UPDBL, and we will start a new query. From the Demographics tab, we will enter a minimum birth year of 1989 and add the criteria. Currently our query reads as a person born after 1988. That could come from any data source. For example, a inpatient record might have a person's birth date. We're interested in birth certificates because we want the birth weight. So let's restrict it to birth certificates. The way we'll do that is select and go to the tab that says Birth Details. This is the birth certificate data. We need to select something general here because we want all the birth certificates. So I'm going to say single births. I'm not interested in birth weights of twins or more than twins, so single birth, we'll add it. While we're at this screen, let's rename our query something easy to remember. I'm going to call it tobacco use disorder, and let's select and run this query. To aggregate by birth weight, select Group Results by, Birth Details, and Birth Weight. We'll add that criteria and run that query. Now you won't typically get results this fast. I paused the video so you wouldn't have to wait for these results to come back. Here are the results. It's 893,000 single births for people born after 1988. So this is our pool of birth weights. I want to save these values before I add more to the query, in which we'll pull out children that had mothers with some type of tobacco use. And we do that by clicking on Download Results. And they should be, there they are here, down to Excel. And let's open up Excel. And here are the results shown in Excel. Because I want to save this, and there's some formatting that goes on when it's saved from the application, I'm just going to highlight this material, copy it, and put it in a fresh spreadsheet. So here it is. I can do whatever I want with it. The original I'm just going to close, not bother saving anything there. Now we can go back to our application and add some more criteria. The criteria we wish to add was that the mother on the patient's birth certificate acknowledged use of tobacco, or had a sibling whose birth certificate indicated use of tobacco, or had a parent who'd been diagnosed with tobacco use disorder. To add these, we'll go back to cohort criteria and birth details, mother reported tobacco use, yes. Add the criteria. Now we'll select OR. Let's go to the Relationship tab, and here we can select Sibling. Add the sibling. There it is. We need to add a little more criteria for that sibling. We want the sibling under birth details to have a mother who reported tobacco use on that birth certificate. Add the criteria. Okay. Birth certificate indicates a mother reported use of tobacco or has a sibling whose birth certificate indicates the mother reported use of tobacco. Now we need to click back up here on this top line for this AND group. We're going to put another criteria in here. We'll go OR, back to Relationship, and this time we're going to select Parents. add the parents. And it looks correct here. Birth certificate, mother reports tobacco, or a sibling, or a parent. This parent, let's add the criteria. For them we needed the tobacco use disorder diagnosis, so we'll go to diagnosis. We'll select on inpatient claims and death certificates. We're not interested in death certificates, so I'll deselect those. And I'll go to an ICD search. And I just happen to know that tobacco use disorder is 305. Let's search for that. We'll open this up. 305.1, tobacco use disorder. Let's add those criteria. Let's check our query one last time to make sure that it makes sense. These first two lines were the original query, where it was a person born after 1988, and the birth certificate indicated a single birth. We saved those counts on an Excel spreadsheet, and we'll get back to that in a moment. Then we further restricted the query by adding the following criteria: that the person also had to have a birth certificate where the mother reported the use of tobacco, or they had a sibling whose birth certificate indicated the mother used tobacco, or they had a parent who had inpatient diagnosis with an ICD-9 code that designates as a tobacco use disorder. That looks good. Let's select and run the query. Again, we will leave it as a group by birth weight and run the query. Once again, I paused the video while the query was running. You won't get results this fast. The more relationships you add, the longer it takes. This particular query took about 35 seconds. Your mileage may vary. Here's my new counts. But now we need to compare those to the pool. And we'll do that the same way we did last time by clicking on Download Results and opening up our Excel file. And here's our results. Like I did last time, I'm just going to copy these guys and paste them into my other spreadsheet here. Exporting your data to Excel is not required or necessary, but since how we had to run two queries, one to get our pool of people who were born after 1988, and second to restrict that group by people who had smoking listed somewhere in their records. It was just useful to put them both queries here so that we could compare them. From here you could do whatever you'd like. Because we've come so far, we might as well do a quick and dirty analysis. Let's color this original query. Let's mark our pool in green, and our smoking data we'll put in red. Let's get some percentages for these guys. For our pool, let's grab the total of individuals we're talking about. We'll copy that. Over here, we'll set this cell equal to the average birth weight divided by that total. To get those percentages for high birth weight, low birth weight, very low birth weight, we can use Excel's fill function and fill to the right. Finally, I'm going to reformat that as a percentage to make it easier to look at. And let's go ahead and grab the headers to keep track of what we're doing. So from here we can see that of the pool data, that 87.06% of them had a birth with an average birth weight. I'll just repeat that process for the smoking data. And from here it's easier to compare these two results. For example, we can compare the low birth weight, what percentage of births were low birth weight for the original data versus the smoker data, you can see that that jumps up from 4.39% to 8.80%. Again, you don't have to paste to Excel. You can do anything you want with the numbers. This was just an example. I hope you found it useful, and good luck.